So my coolest memory I've had was the journey that I took to come back to the country in Ohio. Um, so in 2015, I had to leave the country to obtain my citizenship. Fortunately, things didn't go out well, so I had to stay in Mexico for a year and a half. I got to experience my full culture, learn I have a big family. My mom is a child of 13 kids with 52 cousins. Once I was able to come back to the country back in June, I was able to come to CIA after applying 4 times. I finally had the money to come to CIA and apply for financial aid. And now I'm here, junior year, hoping to graduate as a multi-medium sculptor.
Look at that shit, mate. Look at that. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. So I 3D printed a part for my GoPro chest mount to hold my microphone as the mic thing is on the strap there. So now I can hold it on my chest here and then talk, and you're not gonna hear my like heartbeat or like my clothes shuffling. So that's really awesome. I gotta put the there's like a little cover for it on. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. But worked perfectly. It was kind of funky, so I got a model for a mount, like a microphone mount and a GoPro mount online. Somebody had the ST files, but the measurements were all funky, and so I made like my own little, it's just like a block. I mean, it's not really like difficult. I just like traced around it, and then I had to like literally just test print. Like you'll see, my first print was like, look at that. Put it over my mustache so you can see it. Like it sucked. It was so tiny. So I measured that with a tape measurer just so I could see what that ratio was, and then I found the percentage of how much I needed to increase the size to fit the microphone, and I'm telling you, it worked like a charm. I'm actually really excited about how it turned out. You know, I'm pretty happy. You know, stuff usually doesn't go that easily for me. So that was the first part of the day. Freaking stellar. Next, I'm gonna post a video of like one of my little, like I don't know what I call it, my project. I made 800 cups for people in exchange. All I asked was a 1-minute audio recording of the coolest memory, right? Maybe I'm gonna do a separate video, but maybe I'll set it in here, you know, just because I want them to be its own playlist and series. But I'll let you guys have a snippet of sort of what it's like. But after that, I'm gonna be doing some throwing. I think I'm gonna go for more mugs today, and I think I gotta finish up some like requests that people have given me. So I'm gonna do that, and hopefully I get through everything pretty smoothly today. So I'll keep you guys in the loop. See you in a little bit. Peace. Alrighty. So today I'm gonna be using my new microphone, which is one of the most exciting things for me. And I don't know, today I had poopy pants mentality. And so, as punishment for myself today, I'm gonna do these 3 pots, and then I'm gonna make like a bunch of mugs, sort of to rectify my bad mentality. I think that's important. You gotta be able to punish yourself when you're not, you know, living up to your own expectations. But guys, look Look at that microphone. It's not like jingling around anymore. It's not gonna like fall out. It's clipped in and locked to my chest, so that's a really exciting development. And again, here I am, just getting that clay to be as close to center as possible, taking my ring finger on my right hand and just pushing that right up into my left hand, right? And so that was just getting this bottom. Now what I'm going to do is, this is the wall, and my left hand becomes the bird of prey swooping up against there, right? And we're going down. And it's weird to think about it, but ceramics is a lot about just like putting pressure in one area and then having a counterbalance in the other, right? You can see like my left hand there was pushing down, but it's not just straight down. It's down and then out, right? Or down, find center is down, then find a little bit down or past center, and then straight down from there, right? And that's what, if I watch, I'll do it with this right hand, it shoots that clay right up, right? And so that's kind of a cool thing to understand too, as you're getting more familiar with the clay, that it's actually can help you if you sort of spend some time just working with the clay and seeing how it's gonna move and how it works, right? I always call those the butter moments, is when the clay feels like it's moving as smooth as butter, right? Whenever you have those moments when you're just starting off in ceramics, those is like, at least with on the wheel, you always want to keep track of when those moments happen. Like, what did I do? Why did that happen, right? And then eventually you'll start to really be able to build up your own like vocabulary with your body, right? It's almost like your body speaks a language and you're trying to understand that language, right? And I mean, we already do understand our body's language to some extent, right? Because we walk around, we talk, we do all these different things. All day long, right? We think, we know how to cook, we know how to run, right? And these are things that we sort of trained our body to do, whether it was conscious or unconscious. The hard thing is getting your body to do it just normally, right? Or understand the language of body while you're also just trying to make stuff, right? Like a lot of people, they just are trying to make things, right? And that's sort of the things that's, in my opinion, is preventing a lot of people from understanding, right? Is they're blinded by this idea of like, if I make it, I gotta make this, I gotta make this, I gotta make this. And to be honest, I was blinded by it too. And I think that's also another reason why I make all these tree forms, is because they're literally just like, they're not a vase, so nobody who's gonna wanna buy them for any functional reason. So it's like I made an unfunctional form that nobody's gonna wanna buy, just so I can try to understand clay a lot better. This is pretty good. It's already pretty thin on the bottom here. Let's see. Let's test out how much thickness we got here. I can probably do one more pull. This pull's going to look a little wacky though. And you can already see it's kind of getting a little bit off center towards this top part. We're going to compress this top edge, pull this out ever so slightly. Then we're going to go to the bottom here. We're just going to make sure our pinky's out. Look at that. Go. You got a little bit of an undulation in this middle part here, right? So I wasn't talking during those pulls, right? But this is where you could take a rib and smooth things out, right? In some way, I think it's just all about addressing the clay. What is it asking you? What is it trying to tell you? Right now it's trying to tell me that it's wanting to lean in one side more than the others. Right there it seems like it's a problem area because it's a little bit wider than all the other spots. Right? And then we're just going to slowly keep our fingers splayed out. And there we have it. We have a tree form. I'm going to push this down, and we have a lot of thickness on this bottom flange, so chances are we'll be able to use the wire tool on this pot, which is always fun. Let's cut this open. Look at that. So hold on, let me get my wire tool. I think I left it over there because I was cutting the clay. This wire tool's already gotten a lot of action, so I always gotta be careful because sometimes after after a day, my tools start to get some dry clay on it because I don't clean my tools because I'm a menace. And so sometimes I get chunks on my finger here that sort of drive me a bit crazy. Here we go. We're gonna just curl these up. These are nice and thick tendrils. I probably could have pulled them out and got some taller things, but when they're thick, it's also kind of nice because they look very purposeful, right? When something's really thin and you're trying to work with it relatively quick, you know, even the slightest undulation of a movement is gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just calm these down by squeezing that out of there. And I kind of like the way and how wide it is here, so just sort of smoothing those out ever so slightly. They look purposeful. They're a little bit wide too, so I like when it kind of goes outward a little bit on that bottom part. Sometimes when it's too tight in there, it loses this almost like this contrast between bottom kind of splaying out, middle condensing in, and then top also being able to be splayed out, right? And right now this clay, I'm telling you, this clay is just so soft. You can see we got some cool movements there. On that top, it's whatever, you know. I think the tops on soft clay are really hard because again, there's not any of that nice tension, any of that nice, you know, sturdiness to the form. You can only do so much with compressing, right? Wet clay, because eventually, you know, it's not really gonna help out because your clay is just soaked. It just wants to turn back into its like liquid state almost. And that's where you get some of those fissures that happen on some of the pots. Alright, I'm going to start with number 2. And I think with the ones recently, I haven't been going like tight enough in the middle. So this one, I'm going to go for some height here. Again, take that finger. See what I'm doing there? I'm just taking that, getting that up, and then I can do that swoop. And again, from the bottom up. And then down. And then do you see how it's harder? I'm going to do the same pressure now, and I'll tilt it. You see how it just launches down? So that's kind of a cool thing about that moving, because when you tilt it, right, there's no clay that's here, so then when you push down, it wants to just go down a lot easier. So if you're ever struggling with throwing and you're like, wow, man, this clay is like, I'm really having to use a lot of muscle to get this clay to move, right? Maybe you're just not putting your hands in the right spot, right? I feel like sometimes I'm gonna start to sound like a broken record in these videos, but I also think that it's important for us to know that repetition is what's going to get us to where we want to go, right? That's what's going to allow us to make the things that we want to make. You know, it's also like it's not a balance, right? Because I hate the word balance, but there's a hierarchy of known and happened, right? Like, you want to have some level of power over the known, right? What I mean by that is like the things that we're practicing, that's the things that are known, right? But then you also want to have some level of like the happened, right? Oh, my finger jutted out a little bit, so how do I have to deal with that, right? And it's all in the pursuit of making these things look like purposeful and like done with intent, right? And that's like one of the biggest things I think that is important about nowadays, is that it's really hard to, like, maybe it's not hard, a lot of work that you see is just total happenstance, random stuff, right? Think like the modern day Jackson Pollocks, you know, people, you go on Instagram and you go to things and like it's like somebody jumping and like making a mark, right? And then all of a sudden you have all these people in the comments and people making video content just roasting them, being like, this isn't art, you know. But then you look at their page, right, and they're just making something that I've seen a million times, right? Like they're trapped by the idea of these things like figure and like gesture and body types that look a certain way, like, and maybe it's not they don't really understand it, right? But they're participating in the times trends, right? I mean, how many times do you see like some dude who's making a charcoal drawing of some like nude women, and they all have a sort of body type, right? And even if they're not the typical body type, they're under some cultural response to body type, right? It's like why you'll see a lot of really curvy women in those things right now. It's like they're sort of becoming a reflection of culture. A lot of these people are doing that, right? Where I think like true work isn't a reflection, right? Like by that point you're just like a record, right? Like I don't think real art really is a record, right? Like to me it's not like that, even though it naturally will become a record for people in the future, right? But I think true work is more of a, almost think of it as like a poem, right? Or it's an opinion, it's a response to oneself, not to one's surroundings. I'm sure some people will argue that, right? And I would say, there's probably a lot more literature on people who can argue against my opinion I just stated, right? But I think that's what makes it important, is that perhaps there's not a lot of people talking against that stuff. So here we go. We're going to do a nice little compression here. Great. Or not a compression, a collar. You can see sometimes with those collars it's just so difficult because the clay is just not really centered on that bottom bit there. So you gotta be nice, slow, direct. Oh, it's tilting a little bit. There we go. Cool. Alright. Now we see we got like some good thinness here. So let's see if we can do a really, like, I mean, look how purposeful those look, right? And so we're just going to be slowly tapping these into place here. Again. Look at that. Tilt a little bit, just got really thin, but that's still okay. That's just part of the form. You're gonna get these sort of inconsistencies, but as long as you do them in a way that feels purposeful, that's good, right? Like when I'm thinking of purpose, you guys can't really see, but like the pattern on the interior there, right? This bottom flange, the wall thickness, right? All these things are really, really important, right? Somebody said one time, the millimeter in ceramics makes all the difference, right? And I actually got a deja vu just now, but I said something like the millimeter makes a difference. And that's a unit of measurement, right? But maybe there's something about time. Time makes the difference. I don't know. I can't really remember. Somebody's going to have to go back and see what I said. But I said something. I mean, it's kind of cool right now. I mean, you'll be able to see as this is falling more, you can see more of that interior space revealing itself, right? It's almost kind of like it's saying, hey, take a look at this, right? Like the pot is informing you to some level, right? And I think that's this tell of a good pot. If it's just telling you to look at me a different way than what you might normally look at me, right? I think that's like the sign of a good pot, at least for now, right? In the age where pottery isn't really always a functional, like a necessity, a functional necessity. It's more of just like a functional luxury, right? At least in the place where I live right now in America, right? But there's other things that has allowed us to do. I had a teacher one time talk to me about this idea of allowance, right? Every single action you make allows you to respond a certain way. And I'll be honest, after he said that, I thought about my work very differently. And I know he probably didn't come up with it, but to me he did, so I'll give him the credit. But I think that's really important for my part of my practice nowadays, right? Because every single action gives me the ability to have a controlled reaction. Right. Alrighty, here we go with the last one, guys. And like when I'm thinking about this one, alright, it's 21 minutes, so I'm gonna sort of make sure I'm not messing around on this one too much. Again, pushing this clay down, finger up underneath, pull that up, push it down, and watch this. See, I'm letting that come up, gets up taller, come back under, great. Do the same thing again. Add some water, up, boom, carry that up. Imagine like there's a water balloon with a ping pong ball in it, right? Like you don't want to squeeze the ping pong ball because you don't want to dent it, but you do want to curve the water balloon just enough so there's a thin layer of water between your hands and that ping pong ball. And that's what you want to carry it up, right? Right now it's the ping pong ball's in the middle. So what I'm trying to get to that ping pong ball, right? And so I'm thinning out that clay. And then right here, look, there's my ping pong ball. It's right inside there. So then I'm taking that ping pong ball, and I don't want to squeeze it all the way up, but there we go. I just let it hang out. And from this point, again, there's another ping pong ball on the bottom. Don't worry about that clay on the top, right? That's all you gotta do when it starts getting wobbly like that. Just be calm and sturdy. You can't let that control you. Don't let that anxiety of the potential of failure stifle your potential of something magical happening, right? And it doesn't always happen, right? But I really do think it's a numbers game. If you give it enough shots, I'm telling you it's going to work out eventually. Even though it hasn't really worked out for me that much, right? Outside of just the objects I've made, right? But I've seen it happen in the objects, and I really believe in what happens within the objects that can happen within real life, right? It's a tangible thing. These moments happen. That magic happens. We can create it, right? And that's something that pottery's taught me. And so that's why I'll dedicate my life to it. It's given me it's like the one thing that gives me like not only meaning, but it makes me feel like the time that I spend has a tangible value to it. Not just in another way, like games, for example, they don't give me a tangible value, right? They give me a mental value. But when something gives me a tangible value to what I deem as a tangible value to myself, man, that's gold. You want to make sure you keep whatever that is. You want to keep that around, because that stuff is what first, in my opinion, that's what keeps you young forever, right? Is the things that give you that value, right? And it also gives your life purpose for when you die, right? I've always thought, when I'm an old man, hopefully I can remember stuff, right? But even if I lose my mind, I'll still have to stumble over my pots to get a cup of coffee in the morning. I'll still have to move things out of the way so I can get around, right? And then hopefully my body, I've seen videos of people with pretty serious dementia, right? And they show them music, and they can remember the song, and they start dancing like how they were dancing when they were young. Obviously, their body can't keep up, right? But the mind, remembers that. And how cool is that, yo? And even if something like that were to happen to me, man, how cool would it be if you just put me back on a wheel? Oh, this is gonna be freaking a tough pull. Oh, look at that. We saved that one. Really thin on that bottom part, so we'll be chill out now. But how cool would it be? You set me on I got 3 minutes. But how cool would it be if you set me on a wheel when I'm an old man and it just starts flowing like water, just because I've done it my whole life. That's why I also chose ceramics too, is it's something that can be done your whole life. My grandfather, he plays golf. He's almost in his 90s, or maybe he is in his 90s. Look at that, yo. What a freaking one is that. Do you see how much can change in just a split second? So cool. We won't do a cut on this one. We will do probably just a flange, just to also save some time here, because we're running, got 2 minutes left until I hit the max recording time on my camera here. I hope to one day get another camera, and how cool to be if I can get a foot pedal to change the angle that you guys are seeing these stuff at. And that's it. Oh my gosh, look at that. That feels pretty good to me, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing how this audio is looking. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys in a second. I'm going to start making those mugs. I don't know if I'm going to do a whole recording, but we'll see how it goes. Okay? Peace. those pots were fucking unacceptable. And I did it twice. I threw the first batch, and what I already can tell, I'm trying to make mugs, right? But they're way too tall. They're tumblers, and they're driving me crazy. I keep throwing them. At the end, you saw I cut one in half, and I'm throwing it like absolutely like perfect wall thickness, which is pretty thin. And I just need to lower the amount of clay. I'm already using a little bit less than a pound, and they're going like way too high. And so like I want them to be light, but I'm not gonna make them like really tall like that. I've already made tall things in the past. Nobody wants those tall, like those tall cups. Those are dog shit. You know, we don't want those ones. I'm gonna pause on that. I'm gonna get back after it tomorrow. I still gotta move all of my pots, so I'm gonna go do that right now. Let off some steam, and then I'll come back tomorrow with a stamp for the new place, and then I'll get it done. And that's just how it's gonna be. All right, see you guys later. Peace. So, moved all the boxes. I'm gonna be undoing those, just to give myself more room downstairs. And I have all some bowls and cups and, you know, under the table, you know. It's kind of cool getting ready for everything. And then I also realized something, you know, as I'm getting ready to eat dinner and I'm winding down for my night, I realized that I was allowing that other voice to talk comfort. It's talking comfort. It was like, you're gonna eat some nice meat, and you're gonna go downstairs, or you're gonna go maybe play games for the rest of the night, and it's just right there. It's whispering in my ear. You know, I had a hard day of throwing, and I just couldn't nail it. And then that's when I had the realization. I was like, you gotta outwork your self-doubt. When you can have like undeniable proof that you are who you say you are, right? Like, you outwork any doubt that you have in your life, right? You can't even comprehend it, because you're surrounded by so much of what you do, right? And so like that's where real power is, because self-doubt and that fear of not reaching your potential, man, that will it will take everything from you, right? And so you just gotta fill up your time and your vision with stuff that is undeniable truth of your worries. Like, you're battles against your worries. But so I gotta go downstairs and I have to finish those. It's something I just gotta do. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Just remember, your mind is the one that's in charge, yo. I'm like so excited. I'm gonna go back upstairs. I have like a little bit of ice cream. I'm gonna eat a little bit of an ice cream, right? And that's what's gonna be the coolest thing about today is I went to the store and I forgot my wallet. I only had $20 cash. I was like, alright, I gotta get my meals for today with the $20, right? So I go and I pick stuff and I'm like, oh, I have like $1 left. So I go to this, I'm walking through the ice cream section. I see one of those small little ice cream things. It's like $1.78, you know, and so I got one of those. And I was just like, I don't know when I'm gonna eat it. And then now I realize that I had to go through the dumb shit earlier. My mental getting tested, right? That other voice, right? To give a reason to have that. And now that ice cream is gonna taste so much better because I didn't allow my mentality to affect my outcome, right? I still like powered through. And so, thank you guys for watching. All the best. Strong mentality. Peace.